It is a massive week of Champions League, not just on talkSPORT, but on TNT as well. And up there in the commentary box, in the pundits box, is one of the greats, Glenn Hoddle, joins us. Hi, Glenn.
Hello, Glenn.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Very
Not
well,
so bad, thank you. Maybe come on. You're going to be doing PSG, aren't you? You're off to Paris to do that one.
Yeah, we're doing. I did the first leg, so normally you get the second leg, so you're on top of it, and you know you've got an image in of the game fresh in your mind. But obviously, the big one this week is City, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. I just want to ask you about PSG. They seem more suited now. I'm looking at them. Dembele's playing well. They're in good nick. They look more suited now to go and win it after all the Galactico years than probably ever before.
Yeah, I mean, having all the superstars, I never felt that defensively they could ever go and win this trophy, because you've got to have the balance right. And I think Pep found that out very early and adjusted a few things to actually get over the line, winning the Champions League. And I just felt Paris have never had that. They have got more of a team ethic, yeah. They look more solid as a team. They understand each other defensively. Going forward, they're always going to have the pick of the bunch. They're always going to be able to buy the best players, or some of the best players. And as you say, Dembele is on fire at the moment. You know, certain players in your career, you go through little spells like that where you're untouchable, and you've got to enjoy it while you can. And at the moment, this kid is just flying, isn't he?
Yeah.
They're playing him down the middle, and he is the one really that they're looking to if they go all the way. If you ask me, could they go all the way and win it? I don't think so. No. I don't think it's going to be their year. I mean, they're desperate to win it, the owners and whatever, but I just still see a few frailties there.
Let's have a chat then about City. Carlo Ancelotti's been talking in the press in the last couple of hours. Interestingly, he said Antonio Rudiger will be back, and he's had some great battles as Haaland with Rudiger over the years. It looks like Haaland's going to be okay as well. So that has certainly spiced up the second leg, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, that's good news for any neutral, really, isn't it? Rudiger up against Haaland, and I hope he is fit. You know, he had to come off there. He was a bit sore with his knee, and when I saw it, I was a little bit worried because there was no one really around him. That's when you're worried as a player. Let's hope he's flying fit, because that will be another battle, and it'll be a battle between the two. You know, a technical battle, really. When we say battle in England, we think of roll up your sleeves and have a punch up and have a one-on-one battling game. But no, it's going to be a technical battle between these two teams, and it's going to be wonderful to watch. You know, but those two going at it would be, that would be sensational.
Yeah, the first leg, Man City's problem all season has felt like they've had a soft underbelly. You know, they were winning the game, obviously, but then Real Madrid just knew what to do. They knew where to attack, and it worked, didn't they? They wanted to get over the line.
We've seen this so many times with Real Madrid, and you can't say that it's luck. There's something in the DNA of them players that just lift themselves when the pressure is on. Every year I watch Real Madrid in the what was the group stages, and it still is the group stages, slightly different now. And I think to myself, they're not playing that great. They don't look like a team that's going to go all the way and win this, Champions League again. But it's been like 4 or 5 years I've thought that. And suddenly it's almost like the bigger the game and the bigger the moment, they just come alive. And I think the manager does as well. Carlo comes alive with it. And he makes a few changes here and there. But this team, they never know when they're beaten. They really don't. And they do it in a footballing way, which is to be admired. But they are two juggernauts of the technical game playing each other. Every time they play, it's going to be something special is going to happen. I just, there was a few unforced errors, really, where I think City made mistakes to let them back in. But you let them back in with giving them a chance, but they seem to take it, don't they? Some teams get let back in and they don't take the quality of the player or the quality of the finish. They don't punish you, but this team certainly do.
He's given himself 1%. Ancelotti said, well, Pep, I think he's got more than 1% chance. But the odds are against them. You can get at City. They played well the other day, but they show signs that you can get at them. And that's just a great attack plan. It's going to be hard to keep them out, especially with a 1-goal advantage.
Yes, I mean, I think, it's a game on. At least City know what they've got to do. Sometimes, particularly City, they can be it can be a bit confusing for them. They're used to just going out and playing and trying to win every game. And if ever there's an evening where they've got to do that and have that head on, it maybe if they get their noses ahead during the game, that's when they might have to learn the lesson and maybe just shut the door and play a different way that we've seen City to get over the line against such a formidable team. So you have to, management's about horses for courses, and I'm sure Pep understands that. But at least they know what they've got to do. It's a big ask, but you can score goals against Real Madrid. They're as vulnerable as City sometimes, and I think you've got to go with that sort of feeling in your mind. They've certainly got to go. Every single player that goes out there on the pitch has got to have the belief that they can go into that cauldron and win the game.
Just talk about a couple of clubs you work with domestically. I've heard you on the co-coms and on punditry for TNT around Tottenham's games, and like a lot of us fans, there have been times when you get a bit frustrated with the game management.
Horses for courses again there.
Yeah, I mean, they go over the line. It was a big win. I mean, it was more important really than the performance, the win against United. But what about Spurs hopefully coming out of this injury crisis, Clem?
Well, I think that's a massive positive. I mean, as a manager, I've got every sympathy for Ange over the last, 2 or 3 months, really, 2 or 3 months. And all them injuries, sometimes you can get away with a couple, sometimes you can get away with a couple of weeks. But they've been long-term injuries that have wiped out the back line at times. There's 4 centre-backs that have been out at one stage. And these youngsters have come in like Archie Gray and done an unbelievable really. But so I have got every sympathy from him on that front. The only thing that frustrates me, being a Spurs man, and I want the club to do so well, is that if you haven't got your mainstay, you want to play that way with all the best players you've got. If you haven't got them, that's a test then to say, well, we just might have to just adjust a little bit until we get the cavalry back, Yeah. We've got to tactically got to sort of maybe play a little bit different, certainly during games, in games, manage the game differently. Than perhaps if you've got Romero and Van der Ven at the back, you can do what you want to do. Ange can play the way he wants to play. But, for 90 minutes plus in the modern game, for some of these, defensively I'm talking about, for some of the situations we find ourselves in, and it's against any team, really. It's not just the top teams. It's happened in Europa games. It's happened in, against teams like Ipswich, for instance, beat us. We got Ipswich at the weekend. I worry about that game more than I do about Man City coming round the corner in many ways. Yeah. But I think you just got to tinker with things when you haven't got your full squad. Yeah. That's the only question mark I've got in the last. Because when you have injuries, I mean, if Liverpool had the amount of injuries to key players, do you think they'd be top of the league now?
No, I mean, it's certainly if they were missing Van Dijk and missing those key...
They've got a bit more depth, but I agree with you.
Yeah, but not 9 or 10 players.
No.
At the same time. And then the burden becomes on 14 players, and they have to play every game, and then the fatigue level comes. If Liverpool had that, they wouldn't be top of the league at the moment. No. It's simple as that. So injuries play a massive, massive part in modern day football. It really does.
We've got Thomas Tuchel announcing his first England squad soon, Glenn. And I mean, do you remember yours sitting there and get your first team together? And maybe, did you have any? I'm trying to think. Do you have any sort of wild card players people weren't expecting? Because it's a fresh pair of eyes, isn't it? I mean, for someone like Thomas Tuchel,
Well, I think if I'm casting my mind back, I brought in for my first. It was Moldova away, which was an interesting place to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Walking in the hotel when there was bullet holes all up the wall.
Blimey.
It was back in the day.
Yeah.
It was. I think we had Beckham and Scholes, for instance. Barnby in that squad. Barnby had played. I think Barnby scored that. Yeah, but I think we brought him from the under 21s up in the first squad then. So it was. I can't remember off the top of my head if there was a. It was his first international, I think, squad. But no, it was about bedding down, getting to know the players, which Tuchel's going to have to do. And there's no better way than doing that. You can watch them playing in the Premier League and in Europe, but you've got to, when they're there for a week training with you, you can see the player, you can talk to him, you get a feel for his character, you get a feel for his personality. So he'll have, it'll be a very, very important get together for him.
Finally, the Times have got a story today suggesting that the FA have been pretty flexible with Thomas Tuchel. They've allowed him to head back to Germany and see family around some of the Premier League weekends. And I'm sure he's getting the games watched by his coaching staff. But still, I think he often, and he'll be watching him on TV or tape. But it often helps.
Working from home.
Working from home.
Sir Alan won't be pleased.
Often helps to see a game in the flesh, Glenn, surely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've always been one that would love to do it. But nowadays, you don't think managers go and watch, to go and watch a player, to buy a player.
Yeah.
They would have gone live to see them. They don't do that anymore. They've got so much, the analysts will have so much for them. If you plucked a player out, I want to see a player in the second division or the third division in wherever, they'll find it. They'll find it. For you. And I think that's the modern day management. But I do think it's important, and he knows that. He's seen enough of England live. I don't think that would be a problem for me. I really don't. I think more importantly, is what I've said, is when you're looking, across the room and you're sitting across him, looking into the players' eyes, you find out about their mentality. You find out about them as personalities and what they can achieve. Sometimes you think a player isn't as good as he is, and suddenly you see him and you think, wow, he's better than I thought he was. And vice versa. There's other players you think, oh, his techniques, and suddenly you find, oh, he's not so good as I thought he was. But, that is only that communication when you're training and being around them constantly.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons, 1 till 4. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.